Welcome to Mamahood After Trauma, where healing and mamahood intersect. I'm Emily, your host. Join us as we discover practical strategies to nurture ourselves with kindness and understanding. Stay tuned for insights and inspiration to support you on your path of healing and growth. Let's dive in together. This is Mamahood After Trauma. Hello, friends, and welcome to this episode of the Mamahood After Trauma podcast. I am so excited that you have taken some time out of your busy day to tune in and listen to this conversation. Today, we are being joined by Victoria. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no problem. I'm excited to have this conversation. So, Victoria is a special needs mom and a survivor of domestic violence. So why don't you share a little bit of your journey and what you do?
Oh, wow, that's a big open-ended question, Emily.
Oh, it is.
I don't even know where to start. I survived domestic violence when I married a monster, a narcissistic monster who placated into everything he thought I needed, and they're so charismatic and know what to say and how to lure you in. And I didn't even live with him until we were married. And then once we got married, I got pregnant, and then the abuse began, and I was in the fight of my life. And so I fought to literally stay alive. I've had over 100 surgeries to correct the damage that he caused me, all while pregnant. My beautiful, sweet miracle daughter came early and has to date now had 44 operations. She is my angel and my miracle. And I want to thank you personally because I know we've been trying to coordinate something to get us together here for a while, but my daughter just got out of an ICU visit that was 5 weeks. We were literally having dinner with my husband, not the abusive one, and we had dinner and everything was going great. And she looked at me and said, I have to go to the hospital. And hours later, we were told, you need to call your chaplain because she's not going to make it through the night. And I said, that's not my kid. That's not how this works. And so she ended up in multi-organ failure. She ended up needing to be revived, and she went on dialysis and the ventilator, and they put her in a sedative state. She woke up 9 days later and was heartbroken that she missed Christmas. But we are
Oh,
home, and we, of course, have other things going on now. Like we have a Broviac, which is a more permanent central line for her to get TPN and lipids and things like that. But she's my inspiration and an amazing kiddo. And now for the last 18 years, I have been advocating for special needs families and survivors of domestic violence. Did I kind of sum all that up really quick?
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's been a journey.
It has. It has. It's been quite the journey.
So let's talk a little bit about your healing journey from domestic violence, being a survivor of domestic violence, because there there is not a lot of people really talking about what that journey is like. So if you don't mind sharing a little bit about what your healing journey from domestic violence has been like, I'm sure our listeners would love to hear.
Emily, it's been a challenge. We are thrivers and we are not victims. We are never victims. I
Mhm,
I love the individuals I get to work with. I hate how I meet them
mhm,
because they've gone through such horrific experiences. And I don't care. I've had so many people say, but you've been through so much. No, one kick, one hit, one punch is one too many.
mhm,
I don't care who you're with. I don't care if it's a male or a female or in between. I don't care if they're Caucasian, African American. All I care about is that they are with you with respect and love, and they don't put their hands on you in an unwarranted manner. That's what matters. And
mhm,
when all this was going on, I became that textbook, if you will, and I don't really think that's the right way to say it, a battered wife, where I jumped at every noise. I trained myself to hear and feel when he would move at night. And literally, I jumped at any and every door opening. and I realized I lost who I was. I completely lost who I was. A corporate executive. I had everything in my life going on that I needed, except I wanted a family. And he
Mhm.
took that card and he ran with it. And so, with that being said, I lost who I was. And I realized at that point, I did make a deal with the devil. I own what I do. I told him that if he wouldn't hit me in the stomach, I wouldn't fight him back. Because, Emily, there's no way to de escalate a situation. For instance, when you're being woken up in the middle of the night with him straddling you, punching you in the face, telling you to get your butt up because he's thirsty and wants you to go get him something to drink. That is not a way that you can ever de-escalate a situation.
No.
I tried to leave, and he shot and killed my puppy to show me what he would do if I left, and I knew that this was a fight or flight.
Mhm.
So, I actually put everything to the side. I went into the ICU again, and was told I wasn't gonna come out, went into preterm labor, and literally, if it wasn't for her and her kicking, I would have given up, but she deserved more, and I
Mhm.
was going to give her that. So, I actually fought and got the rights terminated, and then I, you know, looked at her and everything she was fighting. We lived for 6 months in the NICU and said, "No, you don't deserve this mom. You don't deserve this mom that is so afraid of her own shadow." And does that make it any easier? No, it's easier said than done. But
Mhm.
you have to know that, like, he was gonna have to get through me to get to her.
Mhm.
And that is when I really just became that tigering mom. I've never looked at her and said, "You're his," or any part of her is from him. Anybody can make a baby. It takes
Mhm.
someone amazing to be a dad. So
Amen.
I wanted her to see that when you love someone unconditionally, you fight for them and you
Mhm.
show them that you never give up, which is the journey her and I have taken. Um, and you realize that, like, between all of the stabbings and the scarring that he gave me, plus all the surgeries that I've endured, I'm pretty much scarred up everywhere. And what I ended up doing was showing her from the jump that scars are like cartoon characters and we're just awesome. And so, what every scar shows you, a fight that you won because you came through it and it's healed, and it's a reminder of your strength. It's a reminder of how you succeeded past and overcame. And she saw that, and she had so many surgeries. She had 4 surgeries before she was a week old. So she started learning it from the beginning. Even, she had a tracheostomy, which is the tube in her neck, so she couldn't talk, but I would tell her from the beginning, how amazing she is and how strong she is and how beautiful she is. And when you hear something every single day, you believe it, whether it's positive or negative.
Mhm.
And I wanted her to know that. And I would show her my scars and not show her the inappropriate ones that are in other places, but I would show her, the ones on my arms or, my ankle or whatever the point may be, and show her that she's not the only one. Just she's not the only
Mhm.
one who has these, and that she's gorgeous. And then I started doing things like, I would take, say, 11 marbles or 11 Legos, and I would put one red in the middle, and the rest would all be one color, like white. And I would say, "Okay, pick one." And she would always go for the red. And I said, "Why did you want the red?" And she goes, "It's different. We're different. Who
Mhm.
wants to be ordinary? Who wants to be normal? Normal is boring, and we want to be extraordinary." And those of us that have gone through these journeys get to take a path that most people don't see. I lost a lot of friends during this process, which I've learned now they're not really friends.
Mhm.
Um, but when you hear these moms that are like, "Oh, I can't make it to soccer practice and gym practice, and I can't have 5 minutes for myself." Emily, I was doing 25 doctors and therapies a week and
Mhm.
trying to carry all this equipment. And you look at these people and you're like, really? That's what you're complaining about life about? My daughter got up today and she's breathing. So I'm loving life. I take nothing for granted. And you really thrive on things of that nature. And it makes a big difference and impact in day-to-day life. So you show that strength and the positivity and that you fight for who and what you believe in. And now Faith is the same way. She advocates for special needs kids. She has her own podcast, and it's amazing because you see these smiles on these faces, and you know that it's absolutely worth it. Because I guess the overall way to say it is, I looked in the mirror and I saw a broken person looking back at me. I saw all of these physical and emotional scars everywhere. And I said, that's not the mom I want her to have. I'm a single parent at this point, and I'm not going to let her have that. She's going to see that I can fight and I am going to not back off. We're going to do this together. And I showed her how your heart is one muscle and you can fill it with love and positivity and gratefulness and thankfulness, or you could fill it with toxicity and sadness and live your life one or the other. Which one do you want? And the
Mhm.
thing is that I tell the women I get to work with, they do not have control over you. They don't. And if you let them have that negativity and in them to give to you, then you're giving them that power. And nobody can take that power from you. It's a temporary situation. I know most people say it's not, or why do you stay? They don't know because they've never been there. And that is a big thing that I talk about when I do speaking engagements, is that they don't know. And you don't know unless you've been in that situation and you've walked through those shoes. And it's tough.
Yeah.
It's extremely tough, and if you haven't been there, don't say or think that you have, and try to put yourself in their shoes. Just be there. Be their support. Be there for understanding. Just sit in the room and let them know they're not alone. I mean, these are
Mhm.
all crucially important things.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so easy to judge from the outside when you don't know what's going on inside the four walls. You don't know. It's, yeah. We interrupt this amazing conversation for a word from our sponsor. Are you tired of feeling like you're on an emotional roller coaster in mamahood, ready to break free from the fear and frustration that's holding you back? Introducing Mama Untriggered private podcast series, a transformative 5-episode journey to help you calm your nervous system and reclaim your strength in mamahood. In each episode, we'll guide you through practical, actionable steps to understand your triggers, build your trigger toolbox, and harness the power of community for support. Say goodbye to those moments of overwhelm and hello to more peaceful, empowered you. You didn't become a mama to spend your day on edge. It's time to take control of your emotional well-being and create a positive, joyful experience for you and your littles. Ready to break free from the emotional roller coaster? Subscribe now to the Mama Untriggered private podcast series and start your journey to a calmer, happier mamahood today. So, what tips do you have for mamas who are at the beginning of their healing journey? They've left a domestic violence situation and they are picking up the pieces.
First of all, my hat's off to you because you've done it and you're out of that situation. Now, when you think that your inner light is gone, it's not. Even the flickering of the tiniest light can start a wildfire, and we will help you find that wildfire and just bring it back to light. And the thing is that you know, whether you realize it or not, but subconsciously, you or your children, you're worth it. You're worth fighting for. And that's the only way you need to think of the term fighting, is for yourself and your kids, not dealing with some man or woman, because they both
Mm-hmm.
can be victims. But you need to realize that you can come back on top. You know, I was a corporate executive beforehand. Now I've owned my own company now. I am married to the love of my life, who was my soulmate before I got married to this monster. We raise golden retrievers and donate them to families in need. And my cup is overfilled. Like, I am so lucky to be able to work with such amazing people and amazing kiddos and have people like you, Emily, that I get to go and talk with and try to help other people with. Um, we're much stronger than anybody gives us credit for.
Oh,
And
yeah.
when these individuals, because I've actually gotten a lot of slack for calling people monsters, but for you to call them a man or a woman is very hard for me to do that, because a real man walks away. A real man doesn't put his hands on a woman. A real man will walk off and either leave or de-escalate himself, calm himself down, because there's no reason whatsoever to put your hands on someone. There's just not. And a lot of people say, well, it's because they went through it. To me, I get a lot of heat about that, because I don't really agree with that 100%. I was raised in an exceptionally narcissistic family. I was the black sheep. My bio parents actually put this psychopath in my life. And I've never raised a hand to my child. I've never screamed at my child. And I tell people, really think of the words you're going to say, because the words you say in the heat of the moment can last a lifetime
Mm-hmm.
and you regret them. And I tell Faith all the time, when she does something, it's like, I love you more than life, but I don't like the choice you just made. I think we could have chosen something better. Or if she's done something she's not supposed to do, you have to finish your schoolwork, but you chose not to. So you chose not to have your phone tonight. You chose not to have your phone because you made a mistake. And life is about mistakes. That's why pencils have erasers.
Mm-hmm.
And we learn from the lessons and then we move on.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody in this world is perfect. But you
No.
look at everything, we're all human, we all make mistakes. But is a mistake a person hitting you when they tell you, I'm sorry, it'll never happen again? That's not a mistake.
No.
And that's a crime. And
Mm-hmm.
it needs to be taken very seriously. And if they've hit you, it's not long before they're going to take it out on the kids and the pets. It will happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it needs to be, people, oh, he was mad, I did it, I made him angry, this is my fault. No, because I'm here to tell you, Emily, you could do everything right, absolutely
Mm-hmm.
everything right, and somebody cuts them off on the way home, somebody mouths off to them at work, maybe their other girlfriend, boyfriend on the side, whatever the scenario is, told them they didn't want to see him that night. Whatever it is, the tiniest little thing is going to tick them off, and they're going to come home and take it out on you. But you
Mm-hmm.
didn't do anything wrong. You did not deserve what you are getting from that monster. And it's important for people to realize that and to hear it and to be heard, because they feel like the only thing they have is their word, and it's always questioned. We are always questioned to try to prove what is going on, while the monster sits there and just like nothing. And that's not fair. It's supposed to be innocent till proven guilty, but it's not. We're the ones interrogated tenfold, and that's not right. And there's so many things that are going on in our justice system that need to be changed, because it's more for the abuser than the ones that endure it. And that needs to change.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that our justice system in Canada is pretty much the same. They tend to protect the abuser,
Mhm.
and instead of advocating for the victim or the person receiving the abuse. Um, how has sorry, this is my third call today, and my brain is like, yeah, domestic the justice system has a lot of work to do.
Yes,
There our society as a whole, there is much room for improvement, much room for reform. Um, have you have you reached law level with your advocating to this point?
I have. I have. And I will continue to fight and get justice for those that need it. I also My background is law, so I help prepare the survivors with things like one of the main things I tell people to do is do a medical POA. Because if you're in the hospital for whatever reason, that person, your spouse, your partner, whatever, the hospital's going to look at them to make decisions for you. And a lot of the time, you're there because of them. So have a medical POA where the person you appoint is your best friend or a family member or something like that, and you take that away from them, take that ability away from them. And I help prepare those documents. And you also like a living power of attorney, a living will. These things go into meticulous detail about every possible scenario so that if something happens to you, it's your wishes, not what they want, because they're going to want to keep you silent. So putting
Mm-hmm.
those in and making those available to doctors and hospitals is so advantageous for yourself and your kids. Doing things of that nature, there are so many things that can be done that a lot of people don't even realize, and that's what we're here to help.
Awesome. How can our listeners connect with you further if they would like to do so?
Emily, we have our website, which is contagiousmile.com. I have 3 podcasts that are all in the top 1% globally. Um, I get the best satisfaction out of just knowing that we're seeing everybody thrive. I had Malcolm Goodwin from The Reacher and Apocalypse and Breakout Kings just sent me a message the other day saying one of the people I work with reached out to him and he wanted to thank me. And I was dumbfounded because I just see me doing, what I did, that I had no help. I went through this by myself. So to have that kind of support is just amazing. I will help people every step of the way. We have a Facebook group that I vet to make sure that everybody in there is who they are. There are no men in the group unless they've been survivors of this. And I know this for a fact. It's a lockdown private group, and that is a contagious smile. If you reach out to me, you get me. You don't get someone else. If you want to talk to someone else, I can make that happen. My husband also advocates. He was a canine detective as well, and um, we're on anywhere you can hear podcast on as well. And then I've written a book called "Who Kicked First," which is the memoir of what I endured, and you can find that on Amazon.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing so vulnerably with me, Victoria. I
Of
have
course.
thoroughly enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to tune in to this episode of the Mamahood After Trauma podcast. If you would like more of the Mamahood After Trauma community, make sure to look in the description of this episode for the link to become a Mamahood After Trauma Inner Circle member. Until next time, Mama, keep